There's not one guy, one person in the history of this program that's bigger than the program.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
Ooh, what's up and welcome into week 10 of the program roundup. I'm Patrick Hertzberger. Joined with me is Mark Hall and Mason Prince, and we're going to break down all the biggest college football games of the week. And as always, we are sponsored by our friends at the Fan Stop. Go to the description of this video right now or the comments, click the link, and go to thefanstop.com to get 15% off their Shirt of the Month Club for the first 3 months, as well as 15% off their game day polos. These are officially licensed, awesome polos, awesome t-shirts. Go to their website right now. Mark, let's kick it off with you, baby. I think you're going to run the show today.
Yeah, a little bit different today. Patrick was on, what was it? Some kind of vision quest of sorts this weekend.
That's
you
right.
said you were.
Yeah, he did the Aaron Rodgers ayahuasca retreat. That's what
I was thinking.
that.
Yeah, but I heard he was like trekking through the woods at the same time, not in the darkness, but truly against the elements. Patrick on some hallucinogenics. Patrick, you want to tell us about those?
Yeah, I ran 13.1 miles in a half marathon and was quite busy this weekend just doing that. So, but I did catch a lot of football on YouTube TV. Great app. Not a plug. Not sponsored.
Not sponsored. But YouTube is a host for us.
Yeah,
so
That's true.
Yeah.
To some degree, sponsored.
Yeah, to some degree. For sure.
That's all. Okay.
That's it.
Great job, Patrick. Patrick, for the runners who might be listening, what was your time? Do you mind sharing? Do you want to share or no?
It was 2 hours, 6 minutes, which was 2 minutes faster than I ran it 5 years ago. So that was my personal goal. And couldn't have done it without the program, guys. Couldn't have done it without coaches like Brent Venables in the college football world. You know, those kind of guys who make you want to run through a brick wall are just always in your ear when you want to stop running.
That's right.
Was Brent Venables in your
100%
during this trip? That's crazy.
Brent Venables runs in the mornings. He's a runner. He
runs like stadiums. Like he's out here.
Yeah, he's different. He's
Mason,
real different. Brother.
Mason, let's start with you on a general thought. College football, week 10. What do you think? I think it was week 10, right?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, it was week 10.
I think we learned that the top four are really starting to separate themselves in my mind. And there's a case to be made for like 5 and 6 as well. But to that effect, I think we learned a lot more about the top four and how good they are. That's my overall thought. Pat, what about you?
Yeah, I would agree as well. Speaking of like that 5-6, Washington, Oregon, then Texas at 7, Bama at 8, also having a good week. But you're right, man. Those top four look really good. Obviously, Michigan going to Penn State this upcoming week. Ohio State and Michigan probably playing. They will play. So there's going to be some changes to that top four, but definitely those four are setting themselves apart.
Yep. Ohio State, Michigan in just a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, just who knows who's gonna use what signs in that game. That I think is really the thing that we're all looking forward to the most in that matchup. So just like we did the last time, the last time I hosted, we're gonna run through the top 25 in order and separate them just however seems fit along the way. We'll start with that top four. We already hit on them. It's Georgia 1, Michigan 2, Ohio State 3, Florida State 4. Again, this is not the CFP poll, guys, because that has not come out yet. That's the AP. All of those teams, we already mentioned it. They win handily, not too much drama. I mean, you can look at the final score in the Georgia game and say, sure, like that's closer than I thought, but Mizzou didn't score touchdowns between the first and fourth quarters. So I think that Georgia probably had that game in hand even more than it looked at the end. Any thoughts on those teams and sort of what we saw out of the top four, the playoff four, if you will, in week one? Just, I know we hit on them, but anything about teams we didn't discuss there? Anything new?
I think Florida State's a good football team, but I'm not sure how they're going to compare to like the top three. right? Because I think Georgia is a very, very good football team and arguably the best. You can put Ohio State at 1 in the college football playoff ranking. That's fine. But they're going to get canceled. Michigan and Ohio State are eventually going to get canceled out. Both of them will not be in. There's just no way you can. I don't think you can, because one of them's going to get the bid to the Big Ten title game. The other one's not even going to make it.
Someone's going to need to lose elsewhere for sure. But
Yeah.
if Florida State falls off, I can see it. If Washington falls off, it's just Oregon filling its place, you would think, right? But if Florida State falls off, I could see like a 2-3, 1-4. Sorry,
Yeah.
2-4, 1-4, something like that.
But I think Florida State is they're obviously the favorite in the ACC, and I think they win the ACC in a runaway because I don't really think there's anyone there to give them a true challenge.
Yeah,
we'll get to maybe the only true competition a little bit later here in the top almost 10 or so, but I'm sort of on the same page with you. Patrick, any thoughts on the top 4 before we move on?
Yeah, I think Florida State, definitely deserves to be at number 4 right now. I do think that they could, just to Mason's point, if they aren't comparable to the top 3 or couldn't maybe beat the top 3, if they could put up points against those top 3, I do think they have the offense to do it. And I don't think those other teams have really faced an explosive offense yet. Besides maybe, Notre Dame, sure, I guess you could make that argument, but that was a low scoring game against Ohio State. So that would be a test for those guys and just a different type of game if they did make the playoffs.
Yeah, something that Mason and I talked about offline is it feels like there might be sort of a 3-team tier where when you get to the playoff time, if Florida State's team number 4, maybe they're not quite Georgia. Maybe they're not quite Ohio State. We'll see. We will see. Let's move on to the next segment. That is the teams 5 through 8, which we're going to affectionately call Pac-12 contenders, and that one game on September 9th in Austin. This is Washington, number 5, Oregon, your top-ranked one-loss team at 6, and then Texas 7, Bama 8. The AP voters giving that head-to-head over Texas, just like the college football playoff voters did, or committee did. Everyone knows I have been on Oregon all year. I'm really hopeful that is the Pac-12 matchup, and we get to see that game again. That one's really fun. I think Bo Nix is playing his best ball. He should be. He's 35 years old, and Dan Lanning has that defense turning all over the place. So what he's building up there is really impressive to me. That said, they still have to get through that Washington team. Any thoughts on those 4 teams, guys? And how they performed this week. Mason, we watched that Texas game. Talk about that, or the end.
Yeah, so Texas has some issues, right? Like they seem to be missing Quinn Ewers a lot. Which, to be fair, he's a good quarterback. Who wouldn't miss
I actually love Malik Murphy so much.
I know, yeah, and I think he's a good quarterback too, but like for this team right now, I think Quinn Ewers is the guy. And when he comes back, he'll obviously be the starter. But they have some issues. Texas does, and their schedule is somewhat easy. They have a game. I think it's at Iowa State. I believe that's the one that kind of makes me uneasy for Texas.
Night game in Ames, November 18th, the Saturday before Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
funky, right?
Yeah, just weird. And I get the whole head-to-head thing over Bama. You can make that case. I'm fine with that. But to your Oregon point, man, they deserve to be the top-ranked one-loss team because, dude, they're firing on all cylinders. They're really, really good. And I'm telling you right now, if they get another shot at Washington, they're winning that game. I think Washington's good, but I just think Oregon's like figuring it out, man. And they're going to be full of piss and vinegar, ready to beat somebody in the Pac-12 title. Yeah, they're good.
Neutral field, that line is Oregon -3. It just is. Maybe more. Maybe it's 3.5. And if it's not, like, record this whenever we get to that game. I'm putting money on that. All right.
Okay.
No doubt about it. Okay.
Responsibly.
Patrick, any thoughts on responsibly. Patrick, Pac-12 contenders and that one game on September 9th in Austin. What do you think? You're muted, brother.
They were in Tuscaloosa. They weren't in Austin.
They were in Tuscaloosa. They weren't in Austin.
Yeah. Anyways,
My bad, guys. I did that wrong earlier too.
Yeah. They were in Tuscaloosa, but yes, I would 100% agree that I think College Football Nation is looking at Oregon as the winner of the Pac-12 right now. They do look better than Washington, although Washington looks good. Like they could easily win that game again, but you're right. I think a -3 is a fair spread if they do play in neutral ground again. And with that being said, Texas does not look like they're going to be in the top 4 right now. Just if you have a one-loss Texas against a one-loss Oregon, there's no way Texas goes into Oregon. I get that they beat Alabama, but that Alabama team was different in September than they were in November. And that Oregon team has a very tough schedule compared to what Texas has faced.
I agree with that. I think Texas, you can win the Big 12, and it looks like Texas currently is in position to at least get themselves to Arlington, right? No doubt about that. But then you got to have a performance like they had against Bama or like they had against Oklahoma if you really want to show yourself as one of those top 4 teams, because we're still looking at SEC championship or SEC champion. Let's call it Georgia.
Yep.
We're looking at the Big 10 champion. So Michigan or Ohio State, whatever you want. And then Pac-12 champ and probably Florida State. But that, again, is where if someone stumbles along the way, Texas is probably the team best equipped to jump into that place. The same way, we're all Oklahoma guys, the same way Oklahoma did in the last 2 weeks of every single season, because we'd win a game and then we would have a Big 12 championship that we won, and then we're the 4 seed in the playoff. There's a roadmap for it if Texas plays their cards right. Would be my final thought on those. Any final thoughts on those teams before we move on?
The only thing is Alabama is interesting. If they went out and beat Georgia in the SEC championship, that is going to be wild as to see what the committee does.
Wonder if you get 2. Because if they beat Georgia, they've exercised their demons, man.
Yeah. And then that messes everything up.
Oh,
and
God,
what if Texas wins out?
If they make it over Texas.
That would be amazing.
I'm glad you said this, Patrick.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay, we're going to move on to our next 4, and it's these guys aren't in all the same conferences. They're all over the place, guys. All right, the 4 are Big 10 semi-pseudo contender Penn State at 8-1 at ranked number 9, Ole Miss at 10, Louisville 11, Oregon State 12. All of those are all spread throughout the country. I don't know what to do with them. Louisville is kind of the one team in the ACC that's lurking at 8-1 that could give Florida State some trouble if they meet in the ACC championship game. But aside from that, I think all of these teams, Penn State plays Michigan next week. That's exciting if they're willing to open the offense up and let Drew Allard do some stuff. If what we saw against Ohio State is what we see against Michigan, I don't have faith in the offense to keep up, especially when you consider, he might not be on staff now, but they've got all except for 1 week of signs over the last 2+ years. You just have to consider it's taken. It's all there. So James Franklin got his work cut out for him. Any thoughts on this group, guys? I didn't mention Ole Miss coming off that nice win over Texas A&M this weekend.
Yeah, good win for Ole Miss. I think the thing that sticks out to me with this group is really Louisville, because they're going to make the ACC title game. It's really going to come down to if you can beat Florida State, obviously, but even if you do that, I don't think Louisville is a top 4 team. Louisville's going to make their case. They're going to make their case that they're like ACC champs. We deserve a look or a shot. And no, you don't. I'm just sorry. I just don't think you do. I don't think the ACC is a very good conference right now. That's not to say that Florida State's not a good football team, or Louisville for that matter. But yeah, just I don't see it. And also Oregon State, you said 12, right? Did you say Oregon State at 12? Yeah, that's a fraudulent 12 to me. You don't go into Boulder and win a 1-score game like that. I watched that game. That was ugly. You're telling me that's a top 12 team in Oregon State right there? I just disagree. I don't think they look that good.
So they're 7-2, and I should have mentioned this up on the top. So they have Stanford this week coming to God, where is it, Mason?
Corvallis.
Where's it? Corvallis, that's what it is. They've got Stanford coming to Corvallis, and then here's the last two games for the Beavers. It's Washington coming to Corvallis also, Saturday, November 18th at 6:30 p.m. Well, no, that's like an
4:30.
afternoon game for them. Yeah, never mind. And then they finish in Eugene against Oregon. So if anyone's in position to play spoiler to all of this, it's Oregon State, man.
Yeah.
DJ might not make another playoff, but he can really mess people up along the way.
He could have ruined some seasons easily.
And that seems like Oregon State this year, right? It seems like they might steal one of those games and really mess this.
It really
up.
does.
And then we got Utah in the Pac-12 championship, or USC, or even Oregon State.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick,
I agree.
Final thoughts?
Yeah, final thoughts. Remember to go to thefanstop.com and use our promo code
this guy
PGUIZ for 15% off
good.
your first 3 months of the Shirt of the Month Club, or 15% off their game day polo. Seriously, go do it. Ole Miss is interesting to me, guys. I think they're on the up and up. They continue to play well. They continue to put up a lot of points, and they go into Georgia next week. I've really got my eye on that game.
They do? Wow. That was under the radar to me.
Yeah. And man, I mean, it's looking like they can put up 30 points against any team in the country right now. It's just, and can Georgia score a lot? I don't know. We'll see if they have a bad day. I don't know.
Patrick, we're going to talk offline about how convicted you are in these thoughts.
I'm sorry. I have this weird feeling about it. But other than that, good points on Louisville.
He's going to end up being right.
I have a good feeling.
He's going to be right, and we'll never hear the end of it.
He'll be like,
and we shouldn't.
Caleb Williams.
Yeah,
and
we
y'all
should.
didn't know, and I know football.
Yeah.
The only thing is that Alabama and Saban really took care of Ole Miss. It was an easy game for them. So you would assume that Georgia could do the same.
I think that Georgia can do the same.
Yeah,
I think so. Awesome. Final thoughts, Mason, or no? All good? All right, baby. Moving on. This one is, man, it's like kind of hard to come up with fun groupings for these guys. I'm going to call all of this colors involving red. This is going to be 13 through 17, and it's going to be the Utah Utes at 13, Patrick's Tennessee Volunteers at 7-2, coming in at 14 on the poll. Oklahoma State off a big Bedlam win. Go check out the post-game podcast that Mason and me and Matt Gann recorded. It was not a lot of fun, but hey, we got through it, right?
Yeah.
Over the Oklahoma Sooners. And then I kind of messed this up. Missouri is at 16 before Oklahoma at 17. So no red there. It wasn't even a good one, and I couldn't finish it out. Any thoughts on all of that? Let's kind of skip Bedlam because there's not really a reason to here. Mizzou goes into Georgia and I think gets beat about as, it could have been worse, but what can you do if you're Mizzou? Go ahead.
Mizzou is a red team because they cut through the red tape to get Williams Nwaneri paid to get him on campus. So that's how your red relates that way.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Really good win for Oklahoma State. Yeah. Get in touch. Really good win for Oklahoma State. And they control their destiny to the Big 12 playoff. Big 12 championship. Sorry. They control their own destiny to get there. And I think they do, because I don't think they drop another game on their schedule. I just don't think they have BYU, I believe. They have Houston, and they have another UCF.
They go UCF next week, Houston, BYU.
Yeah, so I literally went backwards. But so OSU, very, very real shot that they're in the Big 12 title game. No shot at the college football playoff, but this is a great comeback for Mike Gundy and company for sure. I can't remember who the other
Utah, Missouri, Oklahoma State.
Yeah, Utah. I mean, they're still alive, right? Like they're still alive for a Pac-12 title berth. So we'll see. I guess they got to get.
I'm over Utah this year.
Are you really?
Let's just say it. Let's just say it. You are too.
Yeah.
I hear your voice.
Yeah.
You
No,
are
I
too.
am. I'm
Pac-12's
over
kind
it.
of a
Yeah.
even though USC lost, that's a more formidable team, I think, than Utah is at this stage because of the Caleb Williams factor.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much a 3-team race if Oregon State can get in there.
Yep. Patrick?
Yeah, Washington going to Utah or Utah going to Washington. I don't think Washington's going to have a problem beating them this upcoming weekend. Tennessee played UConn, so that wasn't a big game or anything like that. They handled business quickly. Oklahoma State, yeah, sure, great win. God dang it. Yep. And then Missouri is like doing enough to build an okay something, and that's about it. But it is like good for them, man. 7-2 at this point of the season. No one would have guessed that. So, and yeah, they've lost to Georgia, but if you just look at the scoreline, it doesn't look like they got killed. So
no, hey, Drinkwitz came into this year and it was abso-freaking-lutely a must win, must turn it around kind of season. And he's doing the thing. Luther Burden might be the best non-Ohio State, non-Washington receiver in all of college football. And he's like, this is his first year on the scene. They could really have something if they can turn this momentum into future momentum. I'd agree with that. Final thoughts on these guys? Any of them? No, Pat? No, all good, baby. Let's move on to this next one is going to be Louisiana schools and Kansas. At 18, Louisiana State University, LSU, 6-3, coming off the tough loss against Alabama. They play Florida this week. 19, Kansas at 7-2, and number 20, Tulane. What do we think about these teams? And then I've got a second question that I'm going to throw at you guys regarding Tulane.
I'll touch on Tulane. I always hate that they're in the top 25. Same with like Liberty and James Madison. Just get them out. I'm sick of that.
Spoilers.
Yeah. Kansas, sure, they're doing good. They're having a good season. I respect a lot of what Lance Leipold's doing. Leipold. LSU, man, good first half. Then got their. It's kind of similar. Like you got to remember who you're playing. Same with Tennessee in the second half against Bama. You got to remember who you're playing. Yep. And you're playing Nick Saban and Nick Saban's second half team. And if you don't come out hot, you're going to lose. So, LSU probably going to win out the rest of the season, I assume, playing Florida, and then I believe Texas A&M, Georgia State. That'll be easy. But we'll see. They'll probably end the season with 9-6 record then, 9-3 record then.
Georgia State, Texas State.
Yeah. Kansas is interesting to me because they don't control their own destiny right now, but they have a tough game against Texas Tech in Lawrence this weekend. Then they have a tough game in Lawrence as they host Kansas State. It's a rivalry game. I don't care what Kansas State's record is, what anything is. That's going to be a tough game. And then you finish on the road at Cincinnati.
State just gave Texas all it could handle. Hell yeah.
Yes, exactly. So Kansas doesn't have an easy shakeout to end the year, and I'm afraid they drop one of those. So I think they're out of the race. They'll obviously be out of the race when they drop that, but even not controlling your own destiny and needing Texas to drop not one but 2 games is tough for them. And they need if Oklahoma State dropped one, they'd move up. But yeah, I don't think Kansas finishes the year with those 3 games scot-free. So shout out Tulane. That's fun. Tulane's fun. I'm happy for them.
So I'm going to get to my Tulane thing, but then to your Kansas point, Lance Leipold led that team to a 6-7 record last season. They were 3-6 in the conference, and they're 7-2 right now, and don't quite control their destiny, but they are a game or 2 going the right direction from being there. That's improvement. Jalen Daniels hasn't been playing. Jason Bean has been in there and has been destroying teams like Oklahoma. That's what he's building there is very impressive. Tulane, there are reports out there that Michael Pratt, the quarterback that has led Tulane in the last couple seasons, might forego the 2024 NFL draft and join a team in the transfer portal in light of just NIL considerations. The fact that you can go do that for a big program and then try to hit the league later. So my question to you guys is, in the 2024 season, considering all the teams that you think are going to need quarterbacks in the larger national landscape, where do you think is best served by getting Michael Pratt? I have thoughts. Me and Mason have discussed this one a little bit already. So here's what we're going to do. We'll start with Mason. Mason can go. He'll give Patrick some ideas. Patrick will go, and then I'll wrap us up. Okay. How's
Okay.
that work, Pat? I could tell it wasn't going to be good.
I had one, but you go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah. Get after it, Mason.
So I'll kind of go conference by conference here. ACC, I think Miami is a name to throw around just because they have money to burn and money to throw around. Could be NIL related for that. You look at the Big Ten. I don't know. Michigan is something to think about because JJ McCarthy is gone after this year. And then you look over in the Pac-12. I really like the idea of him in Oregon. Like I really, really do. I just think it'd be a whole lot of fun. But who knows? Who knows what their plan out there is? And I wouldn't put it past Lincoln Riley to try to take a shot at him too. If Lincoln's going to stay there, why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he? He's shown that these grad transfer quarterbacks or these transfer quarterbacks is how his money's made. So I wouldn't put it past him at all.
Those are good teams. I was thinking USC as well. I'll also say North Carolina, a team that has a quarterback who's really good, needs kind of an older statesman in the room. This guy could be one of those people, good fan base who likes those kinds of players. So I'd say North Carolina. Yeah, that'd be my guess.
I like North Carolina a lot. That's a team that I haven't considered even a little bit. So Mason knows I threw USC out early in the conversation that we had, largely because, like you said, he made his living off of transfer quarterbacks when he was at Oklahoma. And I don't think Malachi Nelson is going to be physically ready for taking on the offense. So unless he's investing a ton in the running back position, and I don't think he is, he's going to need someone else that can run an offense for him. Now, does Michael Pratt go from beating USC in the Cotton Bowl last year to playing for USC next season? I don't know. I kind of doubt it. But to that point, all of those Pac-12 contenders are going to be replacing quarterbacks because you think Caleb's going to leave. Michael Penix is going to leave. He's going to be an early draft pick. And thank God almighty, Bo Nix has to go get a job. So all of those
Get a job.
Go get a job.
DJ has to leave Oregon State. He only has one season left to my knowledge. So throw Corvallis in. I'm going to keep Corvallis in my head now, Mason. Keep Corvallis in mind. And then two more that I'm going to throw out. Notre Dame needs to replace Sam Hartman. And if they don't like their young bloods in the room, this is an option that seems like it could work. And then two, this is my kind of pet favorite, Florida State. If Jordan Travis chooses to move on, Florida State is, I mean, listeners can tell me, I don't think Tallahassee's anything close to New Orleans, but South is South in some kind of ways. And if he's, if he likes the environment, that seems closer than anything else he'll see. Any final thoughts on Michael Pratt? Because I think it's a fun conversation, a dude jumping up and being like the highest paid bidder might be the guy, might be the team. This is college football now. All right, then we will finish this up with I don't know, guys. The rest of the teams and one Patrick hates. James Madison, who I'm psyched to see in the top 25 at 9-0 in the Sun Belt Conference. They come in at number 21. They've got UConn next week. Then we've got Notre Dame 7-3 coming in at 22. How is James Madison ever? Like, this is a stain on the Notre Dame history that James Madison is ranked ahead of you in football, right?
Yep.
And then we've got Arizona 23, Carolina 24, and I should have said 2 teams Patrick hates, Liberty 25, at also undefeated 9-0. Any thoughts on these teams? I feel like the biggest thing that sticks out to me is Drake May might be locking up the number 1 pick. And a lot of it has to do with that defense in USC, but it's easier to see Caleb's flaws when he's having to throw all the time and he's having to throw all the time. Meanwhile, even though they are only 7-2, Drake May looks fine and Carolina's churning.
Yeah.
What do y'all think?
I think that you're not wrong. I still believe that if you go in and you're the Chicago Bears and you take Drake May over Caleb Williams, I think you're really going to regret it. And I don't want us to be prisoners of the moment and understand Caleb's body of work. And I mean, this dude doesn't need me to go to bat for him, right? Like he deserves to be the number 1 pick. I'm just giving you fair warning. Like, you're right. The momentum is building, but I think people need to pump the brakes a little bit here and kind of remember we said this Caleb Williams kid was going to be the number 1 draft pick for like 2 years now. So maybe there's a reason for that. So also Notre Dame's hilarious to me. It's just funny. It's just funny. I don't know what they're doing up there. I don't know.
Well, it's the perfect sort of like experiment on could you just use a male model at quarterback and see if it works, right? Could you just put people's sexiest man alive in there under center and make that thing work? Now, I'll tell you, I think that shaving the beard was the real problem.
Yeah.
You're at Notre Dame. This is a Catholic institution. Who lost their hair and lost their power? Samson.
Yep.
Cut it all off and suddenly not able to achieve success. Oh, hey, look at Notre Dame. I don't know, man. There's something there, and they really need to look at, if they do bring in Michael Pratt, maybe a beard oil kind of NIL deal of some sort. Really, really keep it strong. Patrick, what do you think?
Yeah, that would be beneficial. I don't know if you guys saw someone on the Clemson radio called in and asked Dabo Sweeney why they're paying him $11 million. And Dabo had some fantastic answers to that. However, I do feel like that could have gotten under Dabo's skin a little bit.
Oh, I'm sure.
It was probably the reaction to that fan can claim that he won Clemson the game against Notre Dame, and I'd be totally fine with that. That's what I've got on Clemson. Notre Dame.
No one, and they're not a top 25 team, so we haven't really talked about them, but no one's had to defend themselves more for winning 2 national titles and bringing a program back from irrelevance the way that Dabo Sweeney has. And I get it, right? He's an easy punching bag. He's goofy. He seems like a used car salesman. Like I get it. But the people in Clemson, like, who constantly question him, like they're Alabama fans who expect national titles every year, like, Dabo created this. I think he deserves a lot longer leash than people are willing to give him in Clemson. That's just my 2 cents.
Here's what makes it fair to me.
Okay.
Is you're saying some shit out there like, we built this program on NIL.
Yeah,
we really did. And it's probably not different.
And that's what I said about
what you're thinking, though.
Yeah.
We built this program in God's name, image, and likeness. You can't say some shit like that. And then when you lose Tony Elliott to Virginia and you lose Brent Venables to Oklahoma, suddenly be unable to lead a team to victory. Like, God's not on your side. You had superior coaching and recruiting. Now let's get some wins. And to their credit, they take care of business at home against Notre Dame. But this guy has been riding a wave that success brings you in a way that I don't know if Nick Saban did. No, Nick Saban wasn't saying shit like that. And I think, you sort of have to reap what you sow when you're so when you've got such hubris about it early on in the game. Bryant Westco, hit me up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've got
Patrick.
something on Arizona, but before I get into Arizona, remember to go to the description of this podcast and click the link, thefanstop.com. Go to their website, use our promo code PGUIZ. That's P guys for 15% off your first 3 months of their Shirt of the Month Club, or 15% off their licensed polos. Arizona has had an awesome back half of the season, losing to Washington by a touchdown, then taking USC into overtime, beating Washington State, a decent team, a good team, 44-6, then beating Oregon State 27-24, and then beating UCLA, who was ranked last week, I believe, 27-10. That's a fun team to follow. That's a team that's gotten better throughout the year, and good for them, man.
I love it.
I'm not going to comment on the other schools because they're small and don't matter as much.
Yeah.
No, I do totally agree, though. Jed Fish has been a guy who, he's coached in college, he's coached in the NFL, but this is his first chance to be a head coach and been there since 2021. It seems like he's building a competitive team. If you're Arizona, you have to be pretty pleased with what you've got there, and you have to hope that no one bigger comes calling during the offseason. So that is our Top 25, the AP Top 25. I want to open the floor real fast. Any final thoughts on teams that aren't in the top 25? Let's start with Mason. Anything?
No, not really. Arkansas got a win, and I still don't think it saved Sam Pittman's job. So, and that's a good win against. It's a good win against Florida. But yeah, no, I don't think it saves you.
Patrick?
Lincoln Riley finally comes to his senses and fires Alex Grinch. Huge news. I don't think it changes much for USC unless Lincoln gets a real big name who's really good at his job and lets him do his thing and is really hands off. Yeah, I mean,
that feels to me like the Mike Stoops firing in 18. Like, you're admitting there's something wrong, but it's too late. The damage is done. That's what it feels a lot like to me. Yeah. I'll give my last thought on a not ranked team. Guys, you know them, you love them. The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets.
Wreck them.
Go in and freaking dominate the Virginia Cavaliers 45-17. I can't figure this team out week to week, but nope. I like watching them succeed, man.
It's fun.
Haynes King is really coming into his own as the quarterback, 23 of 30 for 208 and a touchdown. Rushing yards, or Jamal Haynes, the leading rusher, 17 carries, 119 and a touchdown. That is talent right there and production right there. Like you didn't see it all during the Jeff Collins era, like you didn't see it all at the end of the Paul Johnson era. Very cool to see. I'm a rambling dart from Georgia Tech and a hell of an engineer. Program roundup MVPs. Patrick.
Man, MVP.
Yeah.
Give me a second. You can go first.
All right, the floor is Mason's.
Oh, my MVP. So
yeah, Patrick doesn't have anything.
We originally talked about this, but Mark, you just mentioned it. But my MVP is Lincoln Riley for just wising up and firing Alex Grinch. Like that's the literal best thing you could have done for your football team and program. And like you said, you did it like 4 weeks too late, and probably arguably a year too late. If we're being quite honest, he probably shouldn't have made the trip to Southern California when you did. If we're being honest, like that's, I mean, good on you for finally figuring it out.
Real fast before Patrick goes. Patrick, you got one more second. Do they really just leave the guy in the place? Like, hey, get your own travel. You don't get to be on a plane.
Yeah,
that literally has a seat for you.
Yeah,
because if you won, we weren't going to fire you now.
I'm sure they let him get home and then do it the next day. Or
yeah, we need to. Or even if you tell them.
Yeah, even if you tell them,
arrive.
Yeah.
I don't know. We need to befriend some former coaches and figure that, like guys who have been fired.
I don't think Lincoln Riley wanted to do this. I don't think he would have done this unless someone at USC told him to do it. I feel like I think they told Lincoln before the game.
I don't know if I can go there just because I don't know, and I don't want to speculate too much, but he definitely doesn't want to do this. You don't bring him to LA with you if you want to do this.
No, I agree.
I thought it would go well, and it went badly. The Lincoln Riley story.
Which
anyway, Patrick, MVP, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, give me Lane Kiffin. Go into Athens and do the dang thing.
Oh, he
doggy
wants
dog.
it. He wants it.
That's a lot of fun because my MVP is Carson Beck, Georgia quarterback, who leads his team to victory against Mizzou and is doing a damn good job keeping the train on the tracks without Brock Bowers and in succession of Stetson Bennett, noted college football, my Heisman winner last year, and just absolute champion of the college lifestyle.
That's right.
And I think that's going to do it, guys. Patrick, I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up. The program roundup is brought to you by the FanStop. And if you go to thefanstop.com and use our code PGUYZ, that's PGUYZ, you are going to get 15% off the first 3 months of your 12-month subscription to the College Game Day Shirt of the Month Club. That's t-shirts, long sleeves, hoodies, whatever you got, it's coming to your door, baby. 12 months out of the year on the dot. Shipping is included in the price. And like I said, you can use our code PGUYZ, that's PGUYZ, PGUYZ, to get 15% off your first 3 months. It's a great deal. Beyond that, you can get 15% off all of their game day polos. And we're talking, Patrick, what is it, like 50 schools they have?
50.
Goodness, I couldn't name you 50 schools right now, and they've got all of them available on there. You can get 15% off of all of those game day polos using our code PGUYZ, that's PGUYZ as well. And gosh darn, that's going to do it for us. Patrick, take us out.
Keep pushing it, baby.
3, 2, 1.
There's not one guy, one person in the history of this program that's bigger than the program.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.